In April 2025, Playboi Carti's album Music hit 1 billion streams on Spotify, making it the 4th fastest rap album ever to reach that milestone. It's a behemoth of a project. There are 30 tracks. It runs 77 minutes long. It's loaded with features, including 3 from Kendrick Lamar, 3 from Travis Scott, and others by Future The Weeknd and Lil Uzi Vert, among others. But it took him 5 years to make, and it's received mixed reviews.
With music, I just don't really feel like there's a lot of vision pulling these songs together, because they're either so short and directionless and underdeveloped that their inclusion on this album is insulting.
Carti has been notoriously quiet on social media. I mean, just look at his Instagram. 13.5 million followers, but just 3 posts. That has to be some kind of record for biggest discrepancy between followers and posts. He's an elusive guy, or at least he's become an elusive guy. Before the album, Redditors were dropping comments like, "I want a serious conspiracy hot prediction as to why he doesn't just drop the fucking album." Others say things like, "He's a rich, narcissistic junkie." So given Carti's latest mid-album drop, his notorious media silence, and the massive amount of time between album releases, has Playboi Carti alienated his fan base to the point of no return? Or do fans just love a good tease? Let's dive in. Playboi Carti was born Jordan Terrell Carter in Riverdale, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. He worked at H&M as a teenager and skipped school regularly. Maybe he was into other stuff, but he's a pretty cagey guy.
The lifestyle, you was on the block a little bit when you was young.
Man, I was, you know what I'm saying, Atlanta, I was out. I was always out, you know what I'm saying? Just gotta keep watching, you know what I'm saying?
I like that. I believe you because you kept it short.
He recorded music at friends' houses and uploaded early tracks to SoundCloud under the name Sir Cartier. By 2015, he'd started going by Playboi Carti and released a song called Broke Bois that picked up traction online.
You know, I got my name from like the luxury, like Cartier.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, somebody gave me that name.
Because you was already buying Cartier when you was in high school?
Nah, I was just, you know what I'm saying, like I was already trying to be Cartier, and then somebody just shortened it one day, it was like Carti. And then one day some girl was like, "Yo, you be on your Playboy shit," and then...
And it just stuck.
Yeah, stuck.
The beat was blown out and simple. Carti's delivery was lazy, repetitive, and hypnotic. The song spread fast across the underground. He joined the Atlanta-based Awful Records collective and spent time around artists like Father and I Love McConan. That affiliation gave him early credibility, but he soon left for something bigger. He moved to New York and connected with A$AP Rocky, eventually signing to A$AP's AWGE imprint under Interscope. That partnership expanded his visibility. He started showing up in fashion lookbooks and modeling gigs before he had a full-length project out. His online persona was cryptic and detached. He didn't post often. Fans started treating him like a character from a movie. In 2017, Carti released his self-titled debut mixtape. The tape featured production from Pierre Bourne, a South Carolina producer who had started building a name for himself online. Bourne's beats had a spacey melodic bounce, and each one opened with a tag sampled from The Jamie Foxx Show. "Yo Pierre, you wanna come out here?" The tag caught on instantly and became associated with Carti's rise. The biggest song from the tape, Magnolia, was driven by one of Bourne's most infectious loops. The track exploded, pushing Carti into the mainstream.
The minute I got some plays, the minute I got at least 1,000 plays, that gave me the momentum.
In 2018, he released Die Lit. The album had 19 tracks, stripped back beats, minimal hooks, and vocals that sounded half improvised. Carti's voice drifted in and out of focus. He mumbled, stuttered, repeated himself. The songs felt loose and incomplete, but fans treated them like sacred texts. His concerts turned into wild event, and he was gaining a serious following. It looked like a movement, a cult, basically. Playboi Carti began pulling away after Die Lit in 2018. He teased new music for 2 years and kept his fans waiting. Whole Lotta Red dropped on Christmas Day 2020. Beforehand, his team leaked the drop to DJ Academics, who wrote on Twitter, "I literally sold my soul to get this info for Carti fans, but Carti album isn't dropping tonight, but will drop on Christmas." He reiterated it on his live stream.
"I had to damn near sell my soul for this information. The Illuminati owns a part of me because I got this info."
Then, according to Academics, this happened.
You know I'm on his last album, right? I'm the intro to his last album.
Really?
Yes, Control, I'm on here. They told me when his album was gonna come out. I exclusively announced it on my stream. Carti calls me and says, "Yo, your announcement of my album, I want to use on the album."
They paid for it or no?
No, I'm just like,
okay,
yeah.
I got it.
I was like, yo, I'm on a Carti album, which he's performed for like 3 straight years.
This is the kind of guerrilla marketing tactic that Carti's been known for. No big branding or rollouts, but quieter, strategic drops that are still really effective.
And you know what's crazy? I always say this, I say, yo, Carti's a genius when it comes to controlling the internet and the media, but not really being present, because he's not the guy who's loud and he's not going back and forth like Meek Mill.
But after Whole Lotta Red, Carti vanished completely. He stopped doing interviews. He stopped interacting with fans. His image changed. He started wearing black eyeliner and painting his face white. He dressed like a vampire and made Blade references in live shows and on social media. Fans started calling it the Vamp era. His behavior became harder to track. He posted cryptic photos and deleted them. His Instagram stayed mostly empty. He announced a new project called Narcissist in 2021. The album never came. Instead, he teased snippets, cover art, and tour visuals with no release. He kept renaming the project in interviews and on stage. Some fans started calling it I Am Music. Others stuck with Narcissist. A few believed they were 2 separate albums. In 2022, Carti was on the spring cover of XXL magazine, and he announced the album would be dropping soon. He said he spent 3 months in a cave recording the album like he was on some vampire bat type of stuff, but nothing came. In 2023, he was arrested in Georgia on charges of felony aggravated assault and hindering a person from making an emergency call. The alleged victim was his girlfriend at the time, who was pregnant. News outlets reported that the altercation began over a paternity test. Iggy Azalea, Carti's ex and the mother of his child, posted online after the arrest. She said she had warned people for a long time. She said there was a pattern, writing, "Imagine having a pregnant girlfriend and pretending they don't exist until it comes out you like to abuse them too." Carti didn't respond. Around the same time, fans began to share leaked audio and text threads suggesting Carti had become unreliable and withdrawn, and writing things like, "Carti is not even a musician anymore, he's just a drug addict." His planned North American tour, the Antagonist Tour, had already been postponed once in 2023. In early 2024, new dates appeared online. By January, everything was marked TBD on Ticketmaster. Tickets were still available for shows that didn't exist. Fans waited for an update, none came. Blogs reached out to Carti's team. There was no response. Fans were reaching their limit. They started a mutiny and created a website listing every one of Carti's unfulfilled album and tour promises. They started turning on him on social media, writing about a mass unfollowing on December 27th, 2024, "I'm so serious we all unfollowing Carti," and "Playboi Carti mass unfollow and boycott." It was starting to get really ugly. Even DJ Academics was getting caught in the crossfire.
I hollered at Carti a couple times, like, yo, Carti, what's up? I think that's why I posted my last tweet, too. I was like, what's up, bro? Like, yo, they on my head, bro. Like, they, you know, like.
And still, no Carti. Iggy Azalea jumped back on social media to say this about his vanishing act.
Oh, someone's saying, tell Playboi Carti to drop. I don't speak to him, my love. We haven't heard from that man in over like 6 months. We don't know where he is. I don't have no idea, have no association. You would have to tell somebody that has, that speaks to wherever he is. We don't know or care.
But finally, Carti gave his fans what they wanted, 30 songs with no explanation. In March 2025, he released Music, a 77-minute album with 30 tracks. He posted the track list on an alternate Instagram account. One name was scratched out. Fans recognized the redaction as Kendrick Lamar. When the album dropped, Kendrick appeared 3 times. Kendrick hadn't featured this heavily on another artist's project in years. His own album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, arrived in 2022 after a 5-year break. Carti had been silent for almost as long, dropping Whole Lotta Red in 2020 and then vanishing. Both artists stepped away from the public. Both disappeared without timelines. Both returned after more than 4 years. Kendrick addressed his absence through lyrics, visuals, and live shows. Carti released music without context. One returned with a clear story. The other left the interpretation to his listeners. On Mojo Jojo, Kendrick's verse is fragmented. He calls Carti extraterrestrial. He floats through a beat full of static and repetition. He never takes the spotlight. On Backdoor, he appears between verses from Carti and Jhené Aiko. The lyrics center on diamonds, sex, and secret entrances. On Good Credit, Kendrick delivers a full verse. He raps about power, jewelry, and ego. He references Luka Doncic, Rucker Park, and A$AP Rocky. He calls Carti his evil twin. He ends the song with no resolution. Carti gives Kendrick the final word, but never responds. Music dropped without a lead single. There were no interviews. There was no tour announcement. The album arrived in full, without warning. 30 tracks appeared on streaming services at once. The production stretched across trap, rage, ambient loops, distorted synths, and empty space. Carti rapped through layers of effects, his voice twisted, filtered, or buried. Some songs ended without transitions. Others looped phrases until they blurred into noise. Nothing followed a standard structure. Critics responded with confusion. Pitchfork called it an overwhelmingly self-indulgent 30-track flood of everything. Reviews used words like formless, indulgent, and incoherent. Bloggers and YouTubers argued over whether it was finished or if Carti had released it half-assembled.
Much of this record is unfocused, is sloppy, is inconsistent, rushed, thrown together, messily pieced together. Yeah, Carti really managed to give us an album on this one that makes a record as bloated and as all over the place as Whole Lotta Red sound like it actually really truly had a point.
Streaming numbers kept climbing though. The album crossed 1 billion streams within its first month. Songs like Venom and Void Me trended on TikTok without any official promotion. Users posted videos using deep cuts that hadn't even charted. Carti said nothing during this time. He didn't acknowledge the release or the discourse. Fans argued in the comment sections of fan pages and lyric videos. Some said it was a masterpiece, some said it was noise, others kept listening without deciding. The album kept spreading. The numbers didn't slow down. The more people called it broken, the bigger it got. But given Carti's silence, how he seems to have alienated a lot of fans and released a chaotic album that's received mixed reviews, it's worth exploring the space Carti is carving out in the hip-hop landscape.
Certainly many fan bases would have moved on at this point, having waited so many years, especially with so many copycat artists these days flooding the zone with their own mid to respectable takes on Carti's trademark sound, the aggressive, distorted, cycling, trippy beats he tends to favor, his experimental approach to flows and vocal inflections, the dark, elusive, and mysterious ways in which he presents himself too.
While the album kept circulating online, Carti's label was moving on its own. Carti's record label, Opium, started forming after Whole Lotta Red, when Carti began quietly signing and promoting a small roster of artists. The first to break through was Ken Carson. He dropped a series of singles and mixtapes, then released A Great Chaos in 2023. Destroy Lonely followed with No Stylist and If Looks Could Kill. Homicide Gang built their name through group projects and live shows. They all performed with similar energy. The beats were abrasive. The visuals were stylized and cold. The branding stayed consistent across albums, videos, and merch. Opium had a look, a sound, and a presence. The artists toured constantly. Their names showed up on festival posters. Clips from their shows spread on TikTok and Twitter. Fans started treating them like successors. Comment sections filled with predictions. Reddit threads debated which one would break through first. Opium was no longer just a Carti extension. It had become a platform. Carti didn't show up in their campaigns. He wasn't in the behind-the-scenes clips, his name wasn't in the captions, he didn't appear at release events or post about the new drops. Some fans said he was mentoring from a distance, others said he had disappeared from the label just like he had from his own rollout. The music kept coming, the videos kept getting better, the label stayed active, the structure held. Carti was still listed as the founder, but at this point, no one could tell if he was still running it. But it hasn't been all bad.
But you know what? You know where I will give him credit? Even though this is not for me, it don't sound like any rap shit that I hear out currently.
Absolutely.
Like it does sound very unique
Original,
to him.
yeah.
And original.
Absolutely.
And that's one of my complaints about just the rappers
Today's
today.
rap,
It all sounds like recycled.
And this brings up something important. Carti's doing his own thing. Whether or not fans like it doesn't seem to matter to him. Playboi Carti built something massive and stepped away from it without saying a word. His label kept growing. His name stayed on the headlines. His face disappeared. He gave the world 30 new songs and didn't show up for any of them. He let the machine run without a driver. Opium moved forward. Kendrick dropped verses. Fans kept guessing. Everything stayed loud except for him. The numbers rose while the questions stacked. People kept listening, kept posting, kept arguing. The structure held, but the center kept shrinking. Then he resurfaced, not with his own tour, but as an opener for the Weeknd's stadium run. No album visuals, no headline slot, no set of his own. Just Carti folded into someone else's orbit. The album keeps streaming. The label keeps climbing. Carti moves in shadows, attached to a stage that isn't his. What's left keeps moving. What if he's still steering, just behind the glass, saying nothing?